Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to HIMediaTV. I'm your host, Em from HIMediaTV, and welcome back to HIMedia Headlines for today, May the 10th, 2026. You know, I just want to say for the record that it is, broadly speaking, kind of absurd that that here at HIMediaTV we have talked about Slay the Spire getting review bombed 2 times in the span of like a month. And now we're talking about it a 3rd time because it seems that Mega Crit just cannot catch a fucking break. Oh my god. So Mega Crit recently updated the credits in their game to include Anita Sarkeesian, who was a quote-unquote a consultant. And then every, Asmongold viewer and chud on the internet sat up in their gamer chairs, activated the Winter fucking Soldier, and went to go review bomb the game on Steam. Which is very funny because Gamergate was 16 years ago, I think at this point, 14 to 16 years ago at this point, and they're still bitching about it. Listen, I think Anita Sarkeesian, from a temperament perspective as well as she doesn't actually play a lot of games. Those are very valid criticisms of her, but a lot of her takes about a lot of the tropes in games and, gamers themselves, even if she did speak a little too fucking broad about it. Anita Sarkeesian was right. A lot of the things that she said about gamers in hindsight are moderately correct, at least among the ones that are fucking right-wing chuds. Hit dogs holler, I guess. I don't know. Like I said, Anita Sarkeesian to me is a little bit of a mixed fucking bag, but a lot of her I think a lot of her criticisms were a little too broad and a little too and came from a lack of understanding gaming and lack of playing games and a lack of understanding the culture. But I do think also a lot of her broad criticisms, some of her more broad criticisms definitely applied. And I think it is less of these being her ideas and I think the things that generally she was right about were things that were already correct about gaming. It's just she became the physical manifestation of all of these ideas, and 20 years later she's getting dogpiled for it, which who cares, right? At the end of the day, I will stand 10 toes down on defending Slay the Spire 2 because it is a damn good game. It is a very fun game, and it's my little indie darling for the time being. I will regularly, at least once a day, boot it up and do a run to relax after the day. But the fact that every dickhead, triple Trump douchebag is, activated they're 13, 14 years old again, bitching about Anita Sarkeesian and moving forward to do all that it's goddamn 2012 again, I just think is very funny. All in all, like I said, Anita Sarkeesian, for me, I very much feel like she's a mixed bag. Not particularly a fan of her for quite a few reasons. But hit dogs holler, and they are hollering if the review scores on Slay the Spire or anything to go by. I hate it here. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to this episode of HIMedia Headlines for today, May the 10th, 2026. We appreciate your time and your listenership. You should join our Discord, link in the description. It's a very great community. We'd love to have you. Regardless, ladies and gentlemen, this has been HIMediaTV. I have been your host, Evan from HIMediaTV, and I'll see you guys next time.